Good afternoon, and thank you all so much for being here. On behalf of our board of directors, it's my very sincere pleasure and my privilege to welcome you to this year's very crowded fall luncheon. We are grateful for the presence of so many longtime friends of our organization. We appreciate the fact that you've taken time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. You're not just supporting the Guardian Ad Litem program, but you're also supporting the 1,000+ children in our area who are currently in the custody of the state. They are in custody, of course, not because they have done anything wrong, but because their parents have failed them and they need protection. If you are a newcomer to this event, we hope to be able to provide you with some insights into the local foster care system and the invaluable role played by the Guardian Ad Litem volunteers as they advocate on behalf of children in state custody. Our organization is dedicated to the cause of raising sufficient money, private money, to provide all of the children dependent on state care with some of the extras that should be a normal part of childhood. Extras is a word that's easy to misunderstand. We are not talking about providing kids with iPhones and extended vacations at Disney World. We're talking about maybe providing them with a $20 gift card from Walmart for their birthday, and if they're very lucky, maybe a week or possibly 2 weeks at summer camp in the summer. If when you leave today's event you would like more information about our work and the work of the Guardian Ad Litem program, we hope you will visit our website, where you will find a wealth of information about the work we do and our programs. The economy is finally improving, and long may that continue, but the needs of the most vulnerable children in our area remain great. We have many child advocates here today, and they could all recount heart-wrenching stories about the suffering of children in foster care. But this year, we decided that we wouldn't talk about deprivation and loss. Instead, we are going to talk about hope and happiness and the ways in which we, with your help, can transform the lives of the children who have been abused and abandoned in our community. So the theme of today's luncheon is a celebration of childhood. Against all the odds, there are often happy endings to the sad stories, and we want to share some of that positive news with you. The Guardian Ad Litem program and the Children's Guardian Fund work together to advocate on behalf of children in state care. And in more cases than you could imagine, we manage to produce positive outcomes despite the initial chaos and despair. As you look around the room and admire the decorations and the birthday party theme, we hope the festive mood will emphasize both the hope that the Guardian Ad Litem program offers at the same time as the gifts, balloons, and bright table linens emphasize the fact that it is sometimes the simple, everyday joys of a normal childhood that are so difficult for children in foster care to experience. Senator Nancy Dietert, our keynote speaker, has dedicated much of her political career to sponsoring legislation that aids foster children and the families who care for them. In the last legislative session, she shepherded a new law through the legislative session that would allow foster parents to conduct themselves more like birth parents. The legislation, which was named in her honor, also provides continued support for children as they become legal adults. For those of you in this room lucky enough to have survived raising teenagers, I'm quite sure you'll understand that just because a young person turns 18, it doesn't mean that they have the wisdom of an adult. Based on the experience of my own family, I would say it often doesn't mean that they have the wisdom of a pet goldfish. So that to say that this legislation was sorely needed is an understatement. We are truly privileged to have the senator with us, especially since she has a schedule that makes most of us look as if we're on permanent vacation. There are other distinguished guests with us today, beginning with Carol and Mort Siegler, citizens extraordinaire and longtime supporters of the Guardian Fund. We are so appreciative that Carol took on the task of honorary chair of our host committee. Thank you, Carol, and Mort too. We have many distinguished guests today, so many that it's hard to know where to begin in expressing our gratitude for their support. Charles Nelson, who is the Director of Operations for the statewide Guardian Ad Litem program, has joined us, along with many. There are so many. Please hold your applause. Along with many members of the Guardian Ad Litem staff here in the 12th Judicial Circuit. We are also honored to have two judges who run dependency court in our district, Judge Brownell and Judge Hayworth. We have elected representatives with us as well. Thank you to Ray Pilon, State Representative for the 72nd House District, and Greg Stubbe, who's representative for the 73rd House District, as well as Larry Eager, Public Defender, and City Commissioner Suzanne Atwell. Both Larry and Suzanne are members of our advisory board, and we are grateful to have the benefit of their expertise only a phone call away on a year-round basis. Finally, I would like to mention the dedication of a special volunteer. Our Next Step program runs a clothes closet for teens that is located right inside Manatee Courthouse, so that when teens go to court, they can stop by this convenient location and pick out a new outfit at no charge. Judy DeWalt, owner of Natural Discoveries on St. Armand Circle, took over the running of this closet almost 5 years ago. She got rid of our selection of rather gloomy secondhand cast-offs and now provides the teens with trendy new clothes. My own grandchildren have said, could we please go there because it's got such a superior collection. And it's all displayed in a boutique setting that she created with mirrors, special lights, and an open floor plan. As you can imagine, teens who are living in group homes with clothes that mostly come from Walmart love being able to visit this very special place. So thank you, Judy, for all you do. I should also say how pleased we are to have Mrs. June Appisdorf with us once again. Each year, Mrs. Appisdorf and her family foundation provide thousands of dollars worth of gift cards to ensure that during the holiday season, no child in foster care will be left without a gift. We at the Children's Guardian Fund have a first-hand view of how much this ongoing generous support means to the children in care. So thank you, Mrs. Appisdorf. We are truly grateful for all you do for us and for the children of this community.
I'm Mike Michelson. I serve on the board of the Children's Guardian Fund. So first of all, thank you all for being here. Frankly, I feel somewhat redundant at this moment since my role today is to introduce someone who needs utterly no introduction to this audience, but I'm proud to do so anyway. Nancy C. Diedert is, of course, Florida State Senator for District 28, an office she has held since 2008, and as you all know, from 1998 to 2006, she served in the Florida House of Representatives for House District 70. Her impressive record of elected office and community service includes earlier service on the Sarasota County School Board, where she was a member from 1988 to 1992. Senator Diedert has distinguished herself across a wide range of issues, and she currently chairs the Senate Commerce and Tourism Committee. Her half-dozen other committee assignments include, appropriately enough, membership on the Committee on Children, Families, and Elder Affairs, and her record of support and accomplishment in matters related to child welfare and foster care stands out at any time, but certainly on an occasion such as today. As Jasmine mentioned her legislative accomplishments in just the last legislative session, they'd be worthy of an entire career just by themselves. She was the Senate sponsor of the Senate bill that is commonly called the Child Normalcy Bill, or sometimes Letting Kids Be Kids, which, as Jasmine mentioned, brings badly needed flexibility to the rules governing the care and support of foster children. In addition, she has long understood the need to extend the period of time that young people can remain in foster care past the age of 18, and in an altogether appropriate recognition of her efforts, her bill that was passed this session, extending the age limit from 18 to 21, has been named the Nancy C. Dietert Common Sense and Compassion Independent Living Act. Which incidentally passed the Senate by a vote of 38-0, and the House version passed 116-1. We may want to track down that one and invite that person here next year. It comes as no surprise that Senator Dietert was named Legislator of the Year for 2013 by the Florida PTA. Based on my own 11 years as a registered lobbyist on behalf of New College, involving days and weeks in the Capitol, I can report without hesitation and at first hand that Senator Dietert is perhaps the most respected and trusted member of the legislature, drawing the admiration of her colleagues from both sides of the aisle. To be sure, she is respected for her commitment, her accomplishments, her effectiveness, but most of all, she's respected for her honesty and personal integrity. So we're extremely grateful that she's joined us today, and it's certainly my honor to introduce to you Senator Dietert.
Well, what a nice introduction, huh? I hope Sister Mary Helen Rita up in heaven heard that. I have exceeded her expectations. I'm going to just talk briefly, probably around 15 minutes, and hopefully be interesting and speedy. I'd like to talk a little bit about foster care and how I got involved. In 1998, when I was elected to the Florida House, I ran on an education platform, pro-business, all the usual things. And then when I got there, I had no idea what I was going to actually do as a freshman. But they made me the chair of Children and Family Services in the House. And every day, those of you who have been to the Capitol know that every day is a different day. It's what makes it such a fun job. It's Realtor Day, it's Cattleman Day. So one day it was Foster Care Kid Day on the Hill, and a rather tough young girl came in my office with a really huge chip on her shoulder and said, "Why does the state of Florida keep screwing up my life?" And I said, "Well, don't take it personally. We do that to everyone." And we spend millions of dollars to do it to you. Because the disconnect between politics and the real world is we spend money and we do little fluffy things, and then we go home and think we did something, and then you meet the actual people and they don't think we helped them. So I invited her to sit on my couch for 2 hours and tell me what we could do to spend our millions that would actually help her life. And she had a lot of good suggestions. So since I was a committee chair, I have access to a staff, and I brought them in, and they're the people that, you know, work in the building for decades and know all the Florida state statutes regarding their category. And I said, why hasn't anybody ever fixed this? We're moving the kid in the middle of the year. She has to repeat the year. We move her from county to county. And they said, well, it never gets fixed because House members can only do 6 bills. And a lot of these are little changes that, you know, you can't put on your brochure when you run for office. It's not glitzy enough. And I said, well, I'm a business person. Half of life is marketing. So let's take all of her complaints, do one big omnibus bill, and we'll think of a snappy title for it. So I thought of the snappy title, and here it is. The Road to Independence. Who's going to be against that? So we made a whole lot of changes, and I took this as an opportunity. I learned from this girl that on your 18th birthday, we put you out on the street, and we're done with you. These kids that have had no family, some of them have been in care since birth, so surprisingly enough, or unsurprisingly enough, they were ending up in prison or homeless. So in that bill, the Road to Independence bill, we had a thing that said if you're in any kind of school, community college, university, whatever, barbershop, school, nail technician, we will extend foster care to age 21 and give you a small stipend. And it passed, and I called this my obituary bill. I mean, I loved that bill. I thought up the title. It's great. And off we went. So I termed out in 2006. 2008, I was elected to the Florida Senate. And a couple of the first people through my door was the guardian ad litems, Alan Abamowitz and his group, and they talked about, you know, they're so entrenched in their subject, all of these people talk in acronyms, and they said, well, we need your help, we're glad you're back, foster care kids need some changes, the RTI worked good for a while, and blah, 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 and I said, what's the RTI? And they said, it's the Road to Independence. And I went, God, I thought that name up, and now it's an acronym. This is spectacular. I love politics. But the second people through my door were some adults, and they said, we're the first graduating class from the Road to Independence. And they had been to Florida State. Some of them were lawyers. They were all in suits. What a big thrill to think that you could actually be in politics and do something and have it turn out the way you wanted it to, and here's the living proof. And those kids that went through the Road to Independence program that are now adults are helping the kids behind them, just like that first girl helped them by walking through the door. These kids come to me almost weekly, and we love seeing them, and they tell me about what we can do to help them, and then the guardians come and tell me how to make it effective, and then we do it. So that's how that worked, and the Guardian Normalcy Bill this year was spectacular, and the Youth Shine kids, which are these Road to Independent graduates and kids who have aged out of foster care, they testified in every committee, and it was rather interesting to watch the faces of my fellow senators when they'd hear these stories. The kid would say, I'm in foster care, thanks for protecting me, but I'm on the football team and we made state champs, and I'm from Tallahassee and I couldn't go to Miami for the state game because I can't travel with people who haven't had a background check and been fingerprinted. I can't stay overnight with them. So if you could just change that part, I'd be eternally grateful. I mean, these kids have a great attitude. You love them the day you meet them. And others would say, I've never been to the prom. Most of us have never been to the prom. And I thought maybe it was because they couldn't afford the clothes, but it's because we're protecting our own kids by having those lockdown events. Well, these kids can't be overnight with anybody who hasn't had a background check and been fingerprinted, so they're deprived of going to the prom. Ordinary, everyday things that all of our teenagers do, they don't get to do. Only 2% of them ever leave the system knowing how to drive a car because they don't have any parents that will put them on their car insurance. Well, all of these problems were news to my fellow senators because average people don't know how the system works. So to have kids tell you how the system affects them personally was very impactful. And in fact, one of our senators said, I want that boy to come back up here. Did you go to the game? And he said, yeah, my foster parents got up at 5 in the morning and drove me to Miami. Did you win the game? He goes, yeah, I'm the kicker and I kicked the winning field goal and we're the state champions for Godby High School. So it really got to them, and the normalcy bill passed. But what impressed me, and this was entirely the work of guardian ad litems, but what impressed me in listening to these kids was I thought of the Pinocchio story. I mean, when you talk about Pinocchio, you usually just remember that the guy's nose grew. But the real story of Pinocchio is, what did Pinocchio want to be? He wanted to be a real boy. And that's what these kids wanted to be too. So the normalcy bill passed. It's a wonderful bill. And then the day it passed, I think, G.D. Kerr, my aide who's here today, ran in and said, oh, this is so exciting. We just got a call from Washington, and they want you to testify before the Health and Human Resources Committee about the normalcy bill. So the DCF secretary and I went to Washington and testified about the bill, and then we received formal notice that they are recommending this legislation as a model for the nation. So the Guardians should be proud of that. Then the other thing we did, and this was from my staff, I have, we talk about bureaucrats, but we have such wonderful people in the state capitol here in Florida, and these are people that have dedicated their lives to one category. When I chaired Children and Family Services in the House, I had a great staffer called Carol Preston, and then she transferred herself over to the Senate when I came to the Senate, and she said she didn't think the House members on that committee cared enough, so she came over, and this woman is like my shadow. She never stops working. I mean, we had a big celebration about the normalcy bill. The governor did a press conference, the DCF chair was there, everyone was there. Carol Preston was there. We recognized her, no smile from the woman. As soon as we get done, she's like, well, there's like 10 more things you need to do, and we need to get on that. And I'm like, take a breath. Take a moment and celebrate your victory, which I think we all need to do, and that's probably the purpose of today's luncheon. We do have to remember to celebrate our victories. But Carol Preston is retiring this year, and she's going to make sure everything gets done for foster care kids before she leaves the building. And then she'll probably sign up and come back later if we don't do the right thing. So the second bill we did is thanks to Carol Preston's hard work in the Florida Senate. She doesn't work for DCF. She works for the Committee of Children and Families for the Florida Senate. And she worked with all the partners and all the participants in foster care. And we put together a huge package which allows us to extend foster care for all kids to age 21, not just the Road to Independent kids, but all the kids in the system will now have the security of knowing that they can stay in foster care till age 21 if they want to. And I think the beautiful part about the bill is all kids, you can't make them stay after they're 18. And all kids on their 18th birthday think, hey, I can make it on my own. Our own kids think that. And guess what? They come back, don't they? That's why you should never sell the big house. They come back, they bring other people with. So in our bill, extending foster care to age 21, what we allow you to do is leave if you want to and come back if you want to, as many times as you want to. I think that's very real world, it's very caring, and we are one of only 4 states in the U.S. that now will have foster care to age 21, and I think it's a smart thing to do, and I'm very proud of that bill. So I think this is probably the best, last year was the best political session I have ever seen for foster care kids. I would like to congratulate, when you think about what it takes to pass a huge bill like that, it's not easy, and it's not supposed to be easy to pass a law. But you have the DC Department of Children and Family Services, you have the guardian ad litems, you have the community-based providers, you have the legislature, you have Senate staff, you have the governor. All of these people have to actually come together and do their job the way it's supposed to be done, and then you're the winner. So that's how it worked, and I think it's pretty awesome and amazing. So it's just a great thing. So thanks to all those people coming together on these 2 very important bills, we will be able to make foster care kids, we'll allow them to behave like normal kids, to blend, to have a chance at life, to not end up homeless or in jail, and to start out in their journey through life with a better start than they had a couple of years ago. And I think with Florida being one of only 4 states, I think that that's something we should be terribly proud about. So I'm just here to thank all of you people. I mean, we have representatives of government, courts, providers, and real people. This amount of people shows up when you say, kids need your help. Everyone in Sarasota County usually says, what can I do? And thanks to the Guardian Ad Litem program, we offer you that outlet to participate. So thank you for listening, and thank you all for being guardians, and thanks for what you do in our community.
My name is Charlie Nelson. I'm the Director of Operations for the statewide Guardian Ad Litem program, and also helping out here in Sarasota for a little while until we name a new circuit director. And Senator Dietert, I would like to thank you very much. I'm here representing Alan Abramowitz today, who's our executive director, who's in Broward County and couldn't be here. But we have something for you today. The greatest honorific that we can bestow upon a citizen in any circuit in the state is to go through training and become an advocate for children. We call those people guardians ad litem. And it's an honorific because that title bestows upon them the ability to truly impact the lives of children. And as you've heard from Mike and from Senator Dietert, there are very few people in this state, in this community, that have an opportunity to do something that truly impacts the lives of children, particularly those kids that have been abused and neglected and find themselves before your honors in the dependency system. Senator Dietert is one of those people. We have created an award that we've given to a very small number of community advocates, Senator. And today, on behalf of Alan Abramowitz and the State Guardian Ad Litem program, we would like to present you with an honorary Guardian Ad Litem designation for the work you've done for the children in the state of Florida.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. There you go.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Susan Malucci. I'm a magistrate in the 12th Judicial Circuit, and I'm also a member of the Children's Guardian Fund Board. As part of my duties as magistrate, I preside over independent living court, where I meet young people who are struggling with challenges of living in state care and who are trying to make something of their lives despite the challenges that they're faced with every day. Overall, I've found that these youth are interesting, they're resilient, they're hopeful young people. Like 2 of the young people you'll meet today, Lenz and Kiah. It is an honor for me to introduce them, and it is an honor to have Lenz and Kiah join us today to share a brief part of their life journey with us. First, you will hear from Lenz Toussaint. Lenz is 21 and now lives in Bradenton. He attends Manatee County Technical Institute. Lenz, if you will please come up and join me.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here today to speak about my experience with the Guardian Ad Litem program. I am deeply honored. My name is Lenz Toussaint. I am 21 years old. I was born on November 23rd, 1991, in Haiti. I was brought to America by a man at the age of 3. Had a rough life for the most part of it. At the age of 13, I finally got rescued by the state of Florida. From that point on, I was living in group home to group home. I even lived in jail for a while. Living in foster care is hard. Nobody really understands what we go through and how we feel about not being part of a family. It feels like you are unwanted and no one really cares about you. You start to wonder, why would anyone care anyway? The people who were supposed to care about you, your family, is not there to care for you. You really try to make friends. You hope they will fill the big hole your family left behind. I was placed in 6 different group homes around the state of Florida when I was a teen. I was just another kid filling the bed. They didn't care about my story. I often heard this line, "I don't get paid enough to put up with you." I thought I was a burden. So I ran away a lot. And many times, I thought I would be better off on my own. I was always trying to find someone dependable to lean on. Sometimes you find someone who is good. I first met Miss Brenda, my guardian ad litem. When she was assigned to my cage, I was about 13 years old. I figured that she was just another paid employee who had to monitor me. At first, I didn't want to get to know her because I felt like everyone just helping me because they were paid. I gave her a hard time. I wouldn't return her calls. I didn't want to talk. Whatever she said went in one ear and out the other, but that did not deter Miss Brenda. But she would stick on me and stick on me. In one of her visits, I noticed her badge and it says volunteer. I asked her, "What's on your badge?" "What does that mean, volunteer? Aren't you getting paid to help me?" And she said, "No, I don't." And that changes my whole perspective. Then I realized that Miss Brenda was listening to me, really listening. She would explain things to me and she would be straightforward with me. She would tell me the truth. So I started to talk to her. I have had a lot of betrayal in my life, and Miss Brenda was the first person I felt I could turn to. Miss Brenda had her own family, but she still made time for me. She tried to get me things that I needed. When I needed the clothes, she get me gift cards so I could buy clothes. Recently, Miss Brenda got me a bike, a lock, and a pump, just so I could get to school. And some of these things came from these guardian funds. To bring you up to speed, I want to give a shout out to my case manager, William, which he didn't make it, probably, with another kid, too many kids to handle. Well, William Moreland had been in my life for the past 3 years, and he is, I guess, couldn't make it here today. But another big thing happened. I lost track of my guardian ad litem, Ms. Brenda, for a while when I aged out at the age of 18. She couldn't find me, and I couldn't find her. But one day, William Moreland lined me up for an appointment with Manatee Glen's Counseling Center, and I went there and told the counselor my story. And she asked me, "Who is the most positive influence in your life?" And at that point, I couldn't think of anybody else but Ms. Brenda. And she was like, "I know who Ms. Brenda is. I have her email. I'm about to email her right now." And she asked, and she said, "I know her." And I was really shocked. She reconnected us. Things really took off after that. And wait till you hear this story. And this is a crazy story. Ms. Brenda was on a walk with a friend that she knew from the Guardian Ad Litem program, Trisha Fritz. Brenda told her friend she had reconnected with her guardian child. She really was excited about this. But he didn't, as for me, but I didn't have a place to stay, to live, and I really wanted a family. Miracle of miracles. Her friend went home and talked with her husband, Skip, about this. By 5 p.m. that night, I was moving into the new home. So, thank you, Ms. Brenda, for everything you have done in my life. I feel like you all are my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Lenz. What a powerful story. And thank you to Brenda and everyone sitting over at that table there for being such a positive force in Lenz's life. How proud he is, too, when he speaks of you all. Next week is Lenz's birthday, so an early happy birthday to you, Lenz. Next, we will hear from Kiah Staib. Come up, Kiah. Kiah is 23 years old and is employed by an adoption agency in Bradenton called Family Creations. And Kiah will now share her story with you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. It means a lot. I chose to write a poem because it is the best way for me to express myself. So I will go ahead and start. My name is Kiah Staib. I am 23 years old. The evil that reached out so strong finally took a hold. Of all the times I've been alone, 2001 was carved in stone. Behind my mom's shadow, I stood and I fell. Secrets and stories I just could not tell. Overwhelming emotions I've held inside. Her pain and addiction we tried to hide. There were times in my life I thought things would subside. We laughed, hugged, and loved just as much as we cried. Single mother, broken soul, abused, abandoned, no control. Ripped from my home, my life, and my heart. It was scary and painful, but time to start. Start speaking up and shouting out. No more fear or hate or doubt. In arms much safer, holding tight. Would someone tuck me in at night? This was not the case at all. I was more alone, and I felt so small. No one to listen, to hug, or to hold. Numerous times left out in the cold. No dress for prom or books for school. I was not normal. My world was cruel. Lights will be off. Stand in line for a meal. How with these struggles will my heart ever heal? New faces and places, a constant question. Stayed strong and kept trying with secret depression. A fight for my future, my life, and my right. Head high, brighter days, no more crying at night. The system that made every day a reminder. An angel sent to me to show a heart kinder. Jan Vestal, my army, my right-hand man, encouraging, positive, making a plan. Believed in me when no one else would, supported me, guided me, knew that I could. Fought by my side when silenced by all. A person to catch me and not watch me fall. Thank you for being there, holding my hand. A confident, strong young woman I stand. Guardians like Jan who truly do care when all else is lost, an answer to prayer. A hand to hold that will not let go. I thank you so much, my words could not show. It does not replace the family I lost, but God had intended our paths to be crossed. To support this program for children like me sets the pain, fear, and anguish of lonely days free. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Kiah. That was just beautiful. Kiah's job at the adoption agency where she works is to help young women who have chosen to give up their babies. Kiah is an amazing example of someone who has used her past experience to help others through difficult times. That is how we define success, and we are so proud of you, Kiah, and grateful to Jan, her guardian. Thank you.
Friends and neighbors of mine sometimes say, "How do you work as a guardian ad litem? Don't you find it just unbelievably depressing?" No, of course not. The beginning of the story is depressing. The end is the sort of miracle that, I'm sorry, it makes me emotional, but there are success stories, and you just saw 2 of them. That's what keeps people going. That's how it makes the whole guardian ad litem program worthwhile. Because we are saving children, you are actually able to do something as a guardian about the misery that otherwise would stay hidden. So it really is a truly wonderful volunteer opportunity. And it's now my pleasure to move on to the Lifetime of Child Advocacy Award. We are fortunate in this community that there are many good people who are working to advocate on behalf of neglected and abused children in our midst. Many of these people are volunteers, and their heroic efforts too often go unnoticed. It was to recognize these unsung heroes and heroines that the Children's Guardian Fund decided to create an award, the Lifetime of Child Advocacy Award, so that each year we could recognize one person who had made a real difference in the lives of children in our community. This year, it's my great honor to present this award to Judy Sharple, a woman Judy has a life that's been dedicated to helping children, first as a high school teacher, and then for 16 years as a guardian ad litem, first in Louisiana, and now for the past 7 years here in Florida. In her role as a board member of the Children's Guardian Fund and a past president, she has tackled the task of reviewing the thousands of requests for assistance that we have received during her term of office. In her role as a volunteer guardian, she assists in the training of new guardians and has personally handled cases involving 45 children, 23 of whom she helped to achieve reunification with their birth families, and 17 of her children were successfully adopted, and the rest she's still working with as we speak. Her dedication and meticulous attention to detail is such that she's never had a family case reopened, either here or in her previous home state. And the professional staff at the Guardian Ad Litem program know that when they have an especially difficult case to assign, Judy is the person they can call upon. For these reasons and so many more, it's not only an honor, but truly my great pleasure to ask Judy to accept, on behalf of the Children's Guardian Fund, this year's Lifetime of Child Advocacy Award.
I like this because it's children going up a ladder. Thank you. I particularly like this award because it's children going up a ladder. Thank you very much for this very nice award. I am honored to be included with the prior recipients, Judge Duran Adams and Hal Headley. A special thank you to my guardian ad litem supervisors, Jan Vestal and Monica Moore, who always have the answers, and my husband, Steve, and 2 children who have been patient listeners through the years. In my years of teaching children, I used to ask myself, what do my students who are confident, polite, well-rounded, caring of others, and well thought of by others, what is it that they have in common? After a few years, I discovered the one thing they have in common was an all-encompassing support from their families or someone important in their lives. 4 years ago, I was appointed to be a guardian ad litem for 6 children after a tragic accident in which they lost their mother and brother. Their uncle stepped in to care for them and provide the support they would need. After working out a major bump in the road, these 6 children, who were ages 3 to 16 years old at the time, were adopted by their uncle Aaron, who was 27 years old. These children were and still are the nicest, most well-mannered children you would ever want to meet. A few years ago, I was appointed as a guardian ad litem to a 2.5-year-old boy, cute little guy, who at first, whenever I would visit him, had a big smile for me, but he would not come out from underneath the table. He was so unused to social interaction that I thought he would surely have a tough road ahead of him. But the first time Amy and Tim met this little guy, they knew he was special and would fit right in with their family, and they were right. They are now providing the support he needs. Aaron and Amy and Tim, would you please stand? They are my heroes. Thank you very much.
It's great to hear what just one guardian can do. Thank you, Judy, for all that you're doing in our community. And it really does take a community of caring individuals to support a child in state care. And we have many of these caring individuals with us here today at the luncheon. If you are a guardian ad litem volunteer or have been one in the past, would you please stand so we can recognize everything that you're doing to support our community? Thank you. My name is Wendy Cox, and I'm a guardian ad litem and an attorney ad litem, and I serve on the Children's Guardian Fund Board. And I love this part of the program. After all the listening, learning, and lunching, this is the part where we get to do something. And I know you're all anxious to find out what you can do to get involved. We have provided each of you with a brochure that tells you a little bit more about the work of the Children's Guardian Fund. You are just one person. Do just one thing to help a child. You've also been given a response card and an envelope to help you identify and consider the one thing that you might want to do today. Let's pull that card out right now and take a look. And while you're looking for that card, you might also want to reach for your purse, because inside your purse you might find a pen, or perhaps a checkbook, or a credit card, or some loose change. All these items may come in handy for the next part of our activity. And men, if you didn't bring your purse, there are pens on the table, so don't worry, you can participate too. I'm just going to highlight 3 things that we have on this response card. First of all, you can become a volunteer guardian ad litem, a child advocate. We have 365 guardians in our district, representing 977 children and youth, infants to teens. Consider becoming one of us. You can talk with any one of the guardians here, any of the guardian staff, or speak with Joe Havers, who oversees the recruitment of guardians and has an information table that you'll see as you exit the lunchroom. Second, you can help us spread the word about our work. Are you a member of a church or a synagogue or a community organization? Maybe they'd like to hear how we help the most vulnerable children in our community. We would like to speak to your group, so let us know if you can help us arrange this. Write a note on your response card. While you are just one person, you can help us reach hundreds more. Third, and this is the easiest option, our organization exists primarily to raise funds to support these children. You could provide us with the necessary funding to fulfill our mission. Now, some of you here today are already supporting our work, and we are most grateful for your past support. A special thanks to those of you who served on our honorary host committee and sponsored a table. Your names are on the back of the program here today. And thanks to those who are sponsoring the event at a platinum, gold, silver, or bronze level. They are listed in your insert. Would all the host committee members and sponsors please stand so we can acknowledge your support? Thank you for your very generous support. And thank you to all of you who purchased a ticket here today to attend the lunch. Your support will help a child lead a more normal life. Now, for those of you who are considering a donation today, I want to give you some specific examples of how your donation will help to support the kids we've been hearing about at the lunch. First, why don't you check out your table decoration? It's a birthday package. Tied onto that package is a price tag, because birthday parties aren't free. We added up the cost of a typical birthday party to be around $100, including a $25 gift. Now, inside these packages is an actual gift. It's a hoodie that will be given to a specific child on their birthday. A donation of $100 could ensure that a child gets a birthday party and a gift, one of those simple pleasures of life. Now, that's just one example. I'm going to share a few more, but let me pause for just a moment to also recognize the Guardian Ad Litem program staff. Staff members from the Guardian Ad Litem program have generously offered to join us here today in support of our cause. These are the attorneys who represent the children's best interest in court hearings and the trained professionals who supervise our 365 volunteer guardians. Guardian Ad Litem program staff, would you please stand so we can acknowledge you? Now, in contrast, the Children's Guardian Fund has one full-time and one part-time employee. The rest is all done by volunteers. So when you're looking at your response card, think of a way that you might help us, because we really do need volunteers to help with the Children's Guardian Fund work. And when you complete your response card, I hope you're all writing. There are pens on the table. Reading and write. I'm just chatting up here while you're filling out the cards. You don't even have to listen to me, just look at your card. So when you fill out your card, put it in the envelope and hold it up. And there's Guardian Ad Litem staff that are going to be just walking around the room picking up your response cards when you're finished with them. So as you continue studying your response card, I'm going to share with you a few requests for funding that have come our way from volunteer guardians this past year. So the volunteer guardians actually request funds from the Children's Guardian Fund for needs that the children that they serve have. And we know that all children's needs vary, and we tailor our support for each child depending on what their volunteer guardian says that the child needs. And I'm just going to read you a couple of thank you notes that have come from guardians and the children recently, because it's always fun to hear how our funds are helping and impacting the life of a child. So I brought a few of them with me. You can't really see them in the back, but many of them are very artistic, as you'll see by this thank you note. And inside, the child writes, I think there's a picture of him on the front. And by the way, I'm using different names, so these are not the actual names of the children. Thank you so much for the money to get my bike. I couldn't be more thankful. Thank you, and God bless. And he writes on the other side, I'm thankful for my bike. My dream was to ride a road bike at fast speeds. I'm glad my dream came true thanks to you. You're the best. So we just hope that he's safe. And here's another one. This is a note written by a young man. I just wanted to say thank you so much for my tucks that help tucks. That helped me so much. I don't know what I would have done. You're awesome, and I'm so thankful. When I was told that you were going to pay for my tux, I was overjoyed. You made my day, and you made a night I will never forget. I was a homecoming rep, and that's a day I will never forget. I just wanted to say thank you. And from 2 young women, they sent a note that said, we just wanted to thank you for everything that you gave us that made it possible for us to go to prom. We both had a blast. Once again, thank you very much. And that's thanks to the legislation that Nancy Dietert spoke about earlier, and also we were able to provide her with a prom dress so she'd have something to wear. 2 children wrote, thank you for getting us classes at the Sarasota Arts Center. Another child who wrote a picture in his said, thank you for the Ringling art classes. These are special classes that otherwise kids wouldn't be able to participate in. Another child wrote, thank you for sending me to basketball camp, for the basketball shoes and my jacket. Thank you for being so generous to me. So just a few words of thanks from kids who couldn't be with us today. We also get kids gift cards so they can go to the store and purchase something that they really want, and that's really important for kids to be able to do. And they write notes telling us what they purchased with their gift cards, things like a bathing suit, a stylish scarf or a pair of shoes, books, toys, games, nail polish, makeup, flat irons for their hair, you name it. It costs a lot of money to raise a child. I think we all know that. Most caregivers don't have lots of money, and almost a third of these caregivers do not receive funding from the state, which means kids go without many of these extras. Just one small item can help a child live a more normal life, and this is one way that you can help. So one other thing I want to mention that we do, and that is we acknowledge children who have made some academic achievements, and the guardians actually submit information about the child that they're working with, and they tell us about the child's achievements so that we can determine if we can give an award to them. Today, you can do one thing. You can make a child's face light up.
Children's Guardian Fund is so important because there are currently more than 1,000 children who are in state care, in foster homes, and state funding is being consistently cut. And Children's Guardian Fund is the organization that raises private money to help try to make the lives of children in foster care a little bit more like a normal, enjoyable childhood. We are very excited to be having Senator Dietert as our speaker because almost her whole legislative career, certainly in recent years, has been devoted to the cause of children in the state of Florida. And particularly in the last legislative session, her very hard work over a significant period of time was rewarded with a new piece of legislation that allows foster parents to behave more like ordinary parents. For example, in the old days, if a foster child came home from school and said to his foster mom, could I please go and spend the night at my friend's house? He was not, or she was not allowed to do that. The foster parent couldn't give permission. If there was a trip to the beach, where neighbors or the church were all going to go on a trip to the beach, the foster child could not get permission for that trip from a foster parent. It had to come from a caseworker. Foster parents are now allowed to take those normal, everyday decisions, which obviously is way better for the children. And then the other aspect of the bill was the realization that children who turn 18 don't miraculously become sensible adults overnight. And so they now have the option of remaining with their foster family, and provided they're taking education, either working on their high school diploma or working at community college, they can receive state funding to help them stay on the right track until they're 23. So that's a huge gift to kids in foster care. And it was Senator Dietert who basically got this legislation passed. The Children's Guardian Fund is important in two ways. We support the Guardian Ad Litem program, and the guardians are the most important, in my opinion, child advocates that a kid in foster care can ever have. And the way that people can help is either to volunteer as a guardian, and take the necessary training, or money is always a wonderful gift. There are many, many ways in which we can put it to good use, ranging all the way from simple everyday things like a birthday gift all the way up to academic support and awards for good academic performance, which is so important. We are very grateful for the support that we get from the community, and we are grateful that the word is getting out. The Guardian Ad Litem program used to be one of the best kept secrets, I think, in the state of Florida. And actually, with a lot of hard work on the part of the program itself and our board members, I think the word is getting out, and we are very grateful to the community for the warmth with which they've embraced our cause.
I started as a Guardian Ad Litem almost 10 years ago. And I did it because, and it's kind of interesting as an aside, my background is in law, but I had retired and was raising my children down here in Sarasota. And then when they were off in school and freed up time, I thought it's time to get my fingers back somehow, but I didn't want to get into directly practicing. And in the states where I had actually practiced law, Maine and New York, all the Guardians Ad Litem are paid attorneys. And I found out they were volunteers, 100% volunteers here. And I thought, ooh, I'm not sure if that's a good thing. And once I got involved in the program and went through the training and met the other volunteers, I saw that the representation that the children here get is far greater than it was by the paid attorneys. And it's because the volunteers are doing this by choice, they care, they stick with their cases, they follow them from the start to finish. And it really impacts the lives of these children. Well, it's crucial for people like Senator Nancy Dietert, and she has been a champion of this and an instigator of the expansion of it, of this program, and so many others that helps children through these programs and through education in her work in Tallahassee. And it's huge for us because, as I said, we're all volunteer organization, but it's also state funded. It's a state mandate. And so we need to make sure every year that our voices are heard loud and clear up there, and it's good to have somebody like Nancy in our corner. Well, there are several ways that you can get involved, but mostly it's through your time or your finances. And like here, I served for 8 years on the Children's Guardian Fund Board, and that is the fundraising arm for the Guardian Ad Litem program exclusively. And so we conduct a number of fundraisers throughout the year, and so people can get involved in helping that, helping put on events, helping get out in the community and speak to the importance of this program and how important it is to make these children's lives just a little more normal. And the other side of it is by volunteering your time. Not everybody has the money to spend, but you can find a few hours a week or a few hours a month to make the direct difference in a child's life by volunteering to be a guardian.
It was very important because in our quest to protect foster care kids, what we were really doing was denying them any kind of normalcy in their life, especially as teenagers. Most of them had never been to the prom, they couldn't travel with their football team, they couldn't stay overnight at anybody's house. We made anybody they hung around with have a background check and be fingerprinted, so it deprived them of any kind of normalcy in high school. So with this new legislation, they have a chance to be a normal kid, which is that was their only ask of us, and I'm thrilled that we're able to do that for them. And I will add that I testified in Washington at their request about this bill, and it is now the model legislation for the nation. Yeah, that was the second great bill we did for foster care kids this year. Extended foster care to age 21, because we found out so many of them that were put out on the street on their 18th birthday were ending up either homeless or in jail. So with this new legislation, they'll have a chance to be productive citizens. Well, it really does take a village, and I think anybody who has a caring heart, when they hear of kids like this that are such great kids that just need a little bit of help, this is the kind of Sarasota crowd that turns out to help those children. Well, generally when people hear of a need of kids, they say, what can I do to help? Be a guardian ad litem. They're all volunteers. They need their help. You're a one-on-one helper to a kid, and you'll feel great about it.